Salamat Datang, Salamat Pagi, and welcome to Green School Bali. Welcome to our virtual open day. My name's Leanne McKee. I'm Director of Communications here at Green School, and I'm so excited to welcome you here to our Bamboo Jungle campus. Welcome, welcome. We are so excited to share with you over the next 90 minutes or so more about Green School Bali. So whether you have an admissions and process with us, whether this is the first time you've engaged with us, or whether you're a teacher who's also looking to learn more about us here at Green School Bali, we welcome you this morning. For those that are also tuning in on the recording, welcome. Let me share a bit more about what we'll be doing over the next 90 minutes. We are going to be introducing some of our leadership team here who are going to be having a conversation with you all about the Green School Way and all about coming here and joining us at Green School Bali. We're very excited as well during these unforeseen circumstances over the last few years. We are open for learning, so we're very excited to share more about what's happening here right now in our jungle campus. I see lots of people coming into the Zoom room now, and so happy to see your cameras on and faces of students. I just wanted to share, you can see behind me the peace sign. Here in our heart of school, this is one of our epic jungle spaces here and bamboo spaces here at Green School Bali. Yesterday was the International Day of Peace. And right where I'm standing, yesterday we had all of our early year students coming through here in a parade with all our other different learning neighbourhoods. We also had World Bamboo Day last week, which was very exciting. So one of the exciting things here also in our heart of school is, if you see an aerial shot of the Green School Bali, of this heart of school, it is our logo, the Green School logo. So if you see the three swirls of the Green School logo, it actually is the aerial shot of our heart of school. So moving on, I will be sharing and introducing our leadership team very shortly, but just to share with you what's happening again over the next 90 minutes or so. We are here, our team, our community centre team and admissions team are here to take your questions along the way. So please put your questions in the chat box here in the Zoom. We will also have a live Q&A at the end, so we'll be taking those questions and answering them. But I'm very excited to share with us here live our leadership team. So I mentioned before the Green School logo, which is three sections, three pillars. And those signify the three pillars of Green School Bali and Green School. So we have our learning community, which is, we believe we are a community of learners making our world sustainable. So that means everyone is part of the learning journey here. You'll learn more about our learning program later, but we believe that everyone is a community of learners. And you're going to meet our head of community environment, who'll be here to share with you. That's Druhan. The second pillar is our learning program, which is everything Green School Way, our curriculum, our amazing program. We have Sal Gordon, who is our principal and head of teaching and learning here. You might see him on our website and our blog as the Peaceful Pirate Principal. He is here today as well to answer your questions and share more about the learning program here at Green School Bali and all the magic that that brings. So, and the third element of that pillar is the learning environment. And I feel that that's kind of speaking for itself at the moment, but that's also part of the learning here at Green School Bali. The other exciting thing today is we're also going to be welcoming a student. One of our high school students will be here speaking more later. So without further ado, I will be here with my team. Christian is here on standby to also take your questions in the chat box. Please put them there. We know that everyone is here on the call. We'd appreciate if you keep your video on mute, and we will take your questions in the chat. Thank you so much, and let me just introduce our host for today. Kate Druhan, Head of Community and Environment, welcome, and Sal Gordon, our Head of Teaching and Learning. Thank you. Over to you guys.
Thanks, Leanne, for that very warm welcome from a very excited Leanne McKee. And we're excited too, Sal.
It's always exciting to welcome people, even just to the concept of Green School Bali. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, so nice of you to give us some time today. And a special shout out to the children, because I think there are some children at the end of some screens here that we can see. So we want to give you a special shout out and a wave. Great to see you. So thanks for giving us some time. We really want to make it worthwhile for you today. Sal and I are really pleased to have some time to connect with all of you around the world, wherever you are, whatever your ages of your children, whatever your thoughts are on schooling, on education, on the future. Yeah, we're keen to dive in and share a little bit more about Green School. So joining us on the bamboo couch a bit later is Tiago. He is a Green School student in grade 12 now. But for the moment, there's Sal and I. So maybe we should share a little about ourselves. Sal, why don't you go ahead?
Hi everyone, my name's Sal. I've been at Green School Bali for 8 years. This is my 9th year. I came and taught in the middle school, a little bit in the high school. I came and brought my kids to this magical place. And you know, as an educator who's a parent, it's something really special in the experience that is Green School Bali for me and for a lot of families. It is pretty cool to be working at such an epic place, but then to see your kids running around and enjoying it too, to see your own children having so much fun with their learning. You know, I'm on an education revolution mission. I believe education needs to change. I've seen it change slightly, but not enough. I think there's an opportunity and a responsibility of schools for the future of the planet. And we're doing some magic things here that are having an impact in education and having an impact in our community and having an impact in our students' individual lives. It's a really special place to me. Like I said at the start, always really excited and really pumped to introduce people to the concept that is Green School Bali.
Nice, Sal. I'm going to dive in a little bit into what things look like at Green School right now. But let me introduce myself too. So my name is Kate and I'm the head of community and environment, and I get to look after a lot of the more sort of support and operational and community building elements of this incredible school. And
so much more than a school, so much more than
Sal.
a school, you know, and
So
Kate
true.
holds a lot of that community of learners concept and how a community comes together, shares together, celebrate. You know, it's definitely that community function role here is so important, critical to us, and Kate holds all of those many pieces.
It is a beautiful part of the Green School experience. It's not just for the kids.
It's not a place where you just drop your kids off to learn from teachers and get taught at the end and pick them up at the end of the day. It's a place where we're all learning together, and there's opportunities in that within our community. You're definitely joining more than just a school when you join the Green School Bali community.
Yeah, and it's lovely. We've actually just welcomed, I think, about 45 new families into our community this year. But to finish my story, so I have 3 children, 2 who've graduated from Green School Bali and 1 who is in grade 10 now, my baby, almost there to graduation as well. So a lot of collective experience in our roles here, and also individually as parents in the school as well. So as Leanne mentioned earlier, the format for today is that we are going to share with you some videos which give some insights into the campus and our community. And then the best bit, or the bit we really look forward to, is to joining you after those videos for a chat. So as Leanne said, if you've got a question or a topic you'd like us to cover, please don't hesitate. Get those fingers working and put those questions and topics into the chat. And Leanne and the team are scooping all of those up for us. And we're really pleased to have one of our high school students join us today
really
as
cool.
well to help answer the questions, because they'll give you the real deal and share with you their actual experience as a student here, going through the different grades and levels at Green School, right the way to almost to graduation for this one.
Almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So in our little video collection, Sal and I have lovingly put together for you a little tour of Green School. So we'd love you to watch that package. And then we get to hear from Dawi, who is one of our Balinese parents, who will share with you something that is so special about the Green School experience, which is the opportunity to connect, learn and love the Balinese culture, wisdom and lifestyle here in Bali. So as a key kind of component of the Green School experience, those cultural connections are an important piece. So we'll hear from Dawi, who also happens to be our school secretary.
So many things.
So many things.
Yeah.
Keeps the whole place running.
Yeah.
So I know you'll enjoy hearing from Dawi. Then you'll listen to Sanjana, who has a recorded chat with me, and Sanjana is a fairly new parent to Green School Bali, so she shares a little about her experience here as a new parent. And then finally, after all of that, actually, we will share with you a little update on visa and travel, because we know this has obviously been a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a small deal.
Just
lately.
a small deal.
Yeah, yeah.
But we are...
But we are open for learning.
We're open for learning, and we are supporting families to come to Bali and be part of this experience. So before actually we go to that package, Sal, maybe you want to share with us a little about what learning looks like at Green School right now.
Yeah. Well, we are halfway through our first term of the year.
We are.
Wow.
Week 5.
5 weeks.
Yes.
Time flies when you're having fun. You know, the learning is very much alive here. We've got a highly documented curriculum that is knowledge, skills and values based. We have organised our school in an age-related way. We have our early years learners. We'll talk about, you'll get some language updates here. So early years are our pre-kinder and kindergarten students, and they have their own beautiful magic wonderland. Our primary school, grades 1 to 5. Again, an amazing campus experience for them too in terms of that, but also a really awesome evolving thematic style, integrated learning style program in primary school. Middle school are in the heart of school, this building that we're in right now, one of the most epic bamboo buildings you'll ever see in your life. Nice and noisy here, but middle school aren't here today. They're on Jalan Jalan, they're out experiential learning. And high school, at grades 9 to 12, where we're really preparing those change makers for the future. You know, the learning here is real, and we say, you know, learning should be fun, it should be meaningful. Most importantly, it needs to be connected to the real world and connected to the needs, the skill needs and the social emotional values needs of learners. For too long, education's been stuck in a time capsule, and we see the need for education to change, and within that there needs to be certain changes in what we teach. So we're in a community of learners making the world sustainable. So a lot of our learning programs across early years, primary school, middle school and high school have got a sustainability base to them. Not just learning about sustainability, but learning for sustainability. It's a big step up there. Our campus itself is our classroom. Our students are out in gardens, in the rice fields, by the river. They're in our innovation hub. The arts is really important to us across the school. You'll probably hear some music start up soon. Our community celebrations are epic for us and how we share and celebrate together. You know, it's a community of learners where our teachers, our local community, our parents, our students are all learning together, making the world sustainable. I don't know, it's just so much magic going on here, Kate. It's hard to put it down. But I want kids to come to school and have a relationship, a positive relationship with their learning, with their peers and their classmates, their communities, and with themselves and connected to nature. And that's what we bring at Green School Bali.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Sal. Thanks so much. And you mentioned today it is a bit quieter than normal in the heart of school. This is normally home base for our middle schoolers. That's that kind of wild,
and I've got
wonderful...
a middle school boy, so it's good that he's not running around here.
So they're usually pretty noisy. That's grades 6, 7 and 8.
6, 7 and 8
at
for middle school. Middle school's epic program.
Yeah.
Our program, you know, first thing, you know, you're going to learn a fair bit about Green School Bali today. And one thing that's most important for you to get is that, you know, this is not an experiment. This is a new model of learning that we believe many parts of it can be integrated in other school systems and other programs, whether it's sustainability-based education, whether it's skills and values, whether it's mindfulness and social emotional. There's so much richness to the Green School Bali program, but it's also highly documented. It needs to be documented and it evolves every year. So rather than think that it's an experimental, what's this new thing happening in the jungles in Bali, this is a successful model of a new model of learning that is changing the world. And we're always happy to talk about it and always happy to welcome people into that community.
Yeah, that's great. We could just sit here and have a conversation between ourselves on that. I know there's a lot, and I'm sure people are really interested. And I can see they're putting some questions into the chat, which is really exciting because this session is for you, friends. So please don't hesitate. Put those questions in there.
Yeah, be a part of changing education, even just by being here today and learning about Green School Bali, talking to your friends about it. This is a special place and special things are happening. Be a part of changing education because the planet needs it.
So I think what might be really interesting for our friends there is when Tiago joins us shortly, our student, to ask Tiago to share, as you're speaking about the philosophical sort of approach to learning and what that looks like in practice, for Tiago to actually share some real examples, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's been here since primary school and has gone up through primary, middle school.
Probably about 9 or 10 years, yeah.
All the way to, well, we'll hear from Tiago himself.
10 years.
He can tell us where he's from and how long he's been here. So that's great. But at the moment, Sal, just to share also with our friends, so we have our students coming to campus 5 days a week.
5 days
for in-person learning.
Yep.
Normal kind of school.
Normal school things. You know, we
things.
separate a little bit. We've got some COVID protocols. You know, it's still some challenges right now in terms of running a school in Indonesia through COVID. But you know, we are open, and everything's getting a little bit better all of the time in terms of how we're managing through the pandemic. And you know, it's probably in the last just few weeks that I've just exhaled, you know, because the boat is in the water and we're on an epic journey this year. It's been quite a challenge over the past couple of years, but things are looking better, and we're really positive about the learning program and parents being involved and back on campus. Things like that are important to us. Experiential. You know why it's so quiet today? Because things are getting more normal, and middle school are off doing experiential learning around Bali. Whether it's rock climbing, they're off at a chocolate making factory there in the rice fields. So, you know, that's why it's so quiet here, because we don't believe that learning just happens at school, and that learning can happen out in the community.
Yeah, so exciting. I saw them heading out on the bio buses this morning.
Wednesday morning feeling, it's back.
It's great. So we've done a little takeover of their middle school home base here in the heart of school.
Yeah.
So let's jump to this little package that we've put together for you. I hope you enjoy it. Please take this time also to think about those questions, topics you'd like us to cover, and then we look forward to joining you back for a live chat at the end of this package with Tiago on the bamboo, well, I was going to say the bamboo sofa. It's not a bamboo sofa, but on the bamboo chairs with us. So we will see you very soon.
Hi, I've made my way to the 3rd floor of the heart of school. The heart of school is our middle school learning neighbourhood. I'm in a typical bamboo green school classroom, because you can see there is no walls. All of our classrooms are surrounded by gardens which our students play and learn in. We also have an amazing, beautiful river that's running really loud just down the hill, our solar farms, the iHub, the music centres, art centres, everything here is amazing and provides probably that structural, that physical campus that we know that at Green School Bali helps us bring a learning program to life. Our students are provided the opportunities to not just learn about nature, but learn in nature. We have 4 learning neighbourhoods. Our youngest learners, the early years, up to kindergarten. Primary school, from grades 1 to 5. Middle school, grades 6, 7 and 8. And high school, grades 9 to 12. At Green School, our learning is for now, not for later. It needs to be fun, but it needs to be meaningful, and that looks different in each learning neighbourhood. Our early years program is nature and play-based. Yes, students start to develop literacy and numeracy skills, but it's more important for our youngest learners to develop a connection with nature and a connection with their peers and a connection with their learning. In primary school, our students begin to learn who they are. They discover themselves, and our learning program allows that to happen. It makes that happen. The big projects, little projects, projects in the garden. Also strong thematics program connected to nature and sustainability. In middle school learning can become a little bit messy. Our middle school program is set up to allow students to elect certain parts of their learning program. So they have strong literacy and maths classes. They also have an amazing thematics program based on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Our grade 8 students at the end of middle school do a capstone project which is based on their own sustainability passion project. In high school, our students are ready to make an impact in the world. Our program allows students to develop the life skills required and the mindsets needed to take action and to use their learning. High school students do a lot of projects. Their culminating project, their Greenstone, is an amazing year-long learning journey where students choose a sustainability-based project and bring that project to life. We are a community of learners. It's not just a school community, it's about our local community too. We're not just an international school in an international bubble. We are deeply connected to our local community. I'm lucky to have with me today Ibu, how are you?
I'm good, thank you Pak Sas.
Ibu
Selamat
Dawi.
pagi.
Selamat pagi. Ibu Dawi is a parent. Ibu Dawi has been on our board, and Ibu Dawi is an amazing, important member of our school administration team. Are you good today, Ibu?
Yeah, feeling very good.
Talk to us, talk to us about the types of connections that we have with the culture of Bali at Green School Bali.
I feel so grateful becoming a part of this community because the local community here is really engaged and involved with the international community, and this is, I believe, that would be very important for our international community because we can bring everything together, like we connect. If we have something in our local community, we always have a chance to bring that together within our community. And for example, if we have like every 6-month celebration here for honoring Goddess of Knowledge, that's called Saraswati. So we're inviting all the community to come. We have dance, we have gamelan, that every parent and their family can have it here together. So it's amazing.
So we learn and we share and we celebrate together.
That's what we're doing
here. As a global
here.
community.
As a global community. And other thing is also really, really interesting for me, so that this is becoming like the biggest reason for me as a parent to send my kids here at Green School. Yes.
Tell us why.
So,
what's about Green School for a local student?
As a Balinese community, we are like once again saying like this is a great opportunity that we have a chance to learn international education with that kind of standard that they can improve themselves. I mean, our local children here, but at the same time, we have a chance to bring our culture also with them. But we learn a lot also from our international community because this is like making a balance.
The learning is definitely two ways.
Yes, yeah. And we have a program if there is no COVID. We have like an after school activities, we have a dance activities, we have gamelan activities.
So there's 37 local scholars at the school at the moment.
Yes, at the moment.
Yeah.
And
but we also, like you said, when we're allowed to fully open the campus, we invite more than 300 other local students to learn numeracy, literacy, English skills, but also sustainability education.
Of course.
Too.
And other thing that is very interesting is also because we also still learn kelas budaya. Yes, budaya class and bahasa Indonesia.
Yeah.
So we bring that together in thematic, and then even like they put it in thematic and making like a such ogo-ogo. Maybe you know that kind of parade that's very famous here in Bali.
Ogo.
Yeah, before Nyepi Day.
The big monsters.
Yes, the big monster. But a lot of things is inside there, like the wise local wisdom is in there. Yes.
That's beautiful. Thanks very much, Ibu.
This is one of my favorite places on the campus. We're right down here by the river. Behind me is the Ayung, the Great Ayung River, and it powers right through our campus. It's a force of nature. It's also a source of energy. Right here down at the river, we have our very own micro-hydro system, the Green School Vortex. And this vortex provides a majority of the power that we use here on the campus, and it forms part of Operation Rain or Shine. So along with our other renewable energy systems, we try and offer a range of different learning opportunities for our children to see all the different ways Mother Nature can help power our campus, our community, and the world. Clean, renewable, and reliable energy. I'm here on the top floor of the heart of school, and this is home base for our middle schoolers. And you can see behind me here some of our renewable energy technologies. We really love the idea at Green School that the whole campus is a classroom, the whole campus is a laboratory, and that we can innovate and we can find solutions to real problems right here on the campus. This solar system here is part of Operation Rain or Shine, which was a high school-led initiative that's ongoing, looking at understanding and implementing different types of clean, reliable, renewable energy right here on our campus.
Everyone in our community has a part to play in making our world sustainable, starting right here on the campus. We have in our main car park our waste recycling centre, so all families can bring their recyclables there, sorted, to be responsibly moved on to recyclers on the island. But the very best of that trash we keep right here on the campus because this is a resource for learning. So in this area here in our Community Innovation Hub is Kambali. And in Kambali we have resources here that can be used. So some of these products can be used raw for projects here on the campus that the students are involved in. But we also have some really cool equipment in here. So we can take certain types of plastics and they can be processed into filament like this that can be further processed into a form that we can put into molds. So you can literally bring in some plastic trash and leave with a plate or a fork or a bowl or something useful. We've even had kids make recycled surfboard fins, which are really expensive here. So very cool product, limited only to the imagination. Here we are at the Human Resources Centre, otherwise known as the toilets. This is one example of our composting toilet system that we have at Green School. Composting toilets don't need to be nasty. We have a fantastic odourless, waterless, chemical-free system that takes human waste and turns it into organic matter that can go back into the earth in a really safe way. These toilets are really beautiful. Our parents helped design these structures. So they're super friendly, they're actually a work of art and really inviting even for the tiniest of people. That's our take on composting toilets at Green School. Just pulling up in the garage, friends. We ride in style and sustainably at Green School. Our biobus transport service normally operates 5 days a week, taking our children to school and back home again in the afternoons. Our biobuses run on used cooking oil, which the students are involved in collecting from hotels and restaurants around Bali. So it helps them dispose of used cooking oil in a responsible way, and it powers our buses. I'm not actually allowed to drive the biobus, but I am allowed to use this. So for any families who don't ride the biobus and have a diesel vehicle, they can fill their car up right here on the campus at the biodiesel pump station. As well as the biodiesel bus service and the pump station in the car park to fill up your diesel vehicle, we also have electric charge stations here on the campus. So electric motorbikes are a growing option for transport around Bali, and you can plug in right here. We're entering primary school, and in primary school every class has their own set of gardens that they work with. In the upper school the students work with more cooperative gardens and working with permaculture principles to grow things that are beautiful but also that are edible and medicinal. And right here in primary at a grade 1 classroom, we can see in the garden here we've got corn, we've got papaya, we've got bananas, we've got flowers bringing the bees and the butterflies, and of course always so quintessentially Bali, the lemongrass. Our campus is wild. It's intentionally rugged. We design it this way. This is great for kids, gross motor skills, but also their cognitive development. So everything is designed by intention, but we work with what is already here. On my left here, you can see these beautiful springs. This is where we hold special ceremonies during the year. It's quite a sacred place on the campus. It's really calm and very peaceful. On my right, in contrast, this pit of mud comes to life because this is the Green School mud pit. It's a really popular place on the campus. So yes, our children get in here. It's like baby elephants on a hot day, cooling down in the mud and the water. Also, while I'm here, over there is Grasshopper Grove. This was named by our early years students because this is a great place to go if you want to find grasshoppers, dragonflies and butterflies. No two buildings on the Green School campus are the same. Every single one of them is unique. Every single one of them is also a work of art. We're here in the Green School Yoga Studio. This beautiful space comes to life when the children come in here for yoga sessions. Nothing is more beautiful than stopping in here and watching the 3-year-olds take yoga. It is pure joy. It's a beautiful space. I can hear the river behind me here. There's a gentle breeze coming through here. It's a very, very serene and special place on our campus. When we think about well-being at Green School, we think about the whole person, the social, the emotional, and of course the physical, and not just the individual child or the individual community member, but the whole community. This behind me is the Arc. This is our community centre and our sports centre. So what goes on in here? This is a place that we gather that holds us for recreation, for presentations, and for celebrations. This is the Arc. I'm here at the Bridge, and this is Green School for grown-ups. Talks, courses, workshops, socialising, outings in Bali all come through the Bridge. Right behind me here is our parent co-working space, but it's really much more than that. It's co-working, it's co-learning, it's co-creating, communicating, connecting, and building friendships. We really love the idea that Green School is not just for the children, it is for the grown-ups too. So being a community is very much an important piece of the Green School experience, right from the very beginning of the school, right through to today, even in the current situation. And I'm really happy to be here this morning in the Bridge, which is the Green School co-working space, with my friend Sanjana, who is a new parent to Green School. Just joined us this school year, and super nice to have a little chat with you, Sanjana.
Thrilled to be here. I'm so happy to finally be a part of the Bridge and the Green School community.
Great. So we have had to be really creative around how we build and maintain and nurture our sense of community during this time over the past 12 months in particular. So a lot of the things we ordinarily do to help parents get involved with the school and feel connected, we've had to find creative ways around to still hold that space and hold that sense. It's really valuable to us. So in coming here as a new parent and connecting with the community, the parent community first and foremost, you know, that's something we always hope and wish our parents experience when they're new here. And what's your experience been of that?
You know, before we actually moved to Green School to Bali, we came in to spend a couple of days to see how the community works last year. And I have to say that for 1 year, we've been talking about not our son joining the school, but us as a family getting involved with Green School. Now that I'm finally here, everything that we talked about for the last year is actually coming true. In its own way, in its own different way, but I don't think it's less than anything else that would have gone place. So
Yeah.
thrilled to be here, and I can't imagine how much more active the community would be if we didn't have this pandemic situation to deal with.
Yeah, well, that's great, and it's reassuring to hear that. You know, that's what we hope for our families, that they do feel connected and do feel part of a community and a movement, really. And we don't just hope for it, I guess. We try our best to sort of nurture that and nourish that in many different ways. Right here on the campus, we are opening up some parent programs, some outings for parents in Bali, called Truly Bali, to help our parents that have come from abroad to really connect more deeply with Bali and the experience there, as well as some events virtually and in person that we're running around really our parents sharing with other parents,
Right.
their know-how, their story, their background, their skills and so on. And then taking that further to then connect our parents to our students. So one of the things we do is try and facilitate mentorships from our parent community to particularly our grade 12 students, but also our grade 8 students on their capstone projects. And
Right.
that is just beautiful to watch that happen. And I think it's all part of the idea of walllessness, that walllessness is not just the physical way we arrange our campus and build our classrooms, but also the way we think about ourselves as a community, that it's not teachers in one group and students and parents are over here and that there's some sort of separation, but how can we find ways that work for everyone to create those connections?
You know, that circle of trust, essentially what you're describing, is very obvious. It's there from the time I dropped my son off to the time I'm dealing with Bali and living in Bali, because I am new here, you know, so I do have to deal with, I'm going to say this, bats and geckos and everything else, you know, it's part of the experience. But it's not difficult. It's not been difficult at all because of that circle of trust. You know, I can reach out to anybody and have a chat with them about what's the best way to do this. You know, how do I react to this, and what do I need to do to think about this particular thing. So that circle of trust, it's very much alive, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so glad that we made this decision to come.
You know, Sanjana, we always encourage new parents to tap into the kind of the great font of wisdom that is our collective parent body, you know, in all things sort of living in Bali. You talked about the bats and the geckos and all of those things, and you know, the biggest sort of community of parents are really a hive of information and knowledge. Is that something you've been tapping into?
All the time. You know, there's no question that's ridiculous to ask within that circle of trust. I can ask people where I can get the best mozzarella, to what do I need to do with bats, you know, what do I need to do with bug sprays, and every aspect of life that I can think about, whether it's medical to whether it's more superficial, I want my comfort food, what do I need to do to get that? It's all addressed, you know, and there are people there who have answers. 11 in the night you ask a question, 2 minutes later you get an answer. You know, it's phenomenal. I can't believe that there is this circle of trust, and there's so much conversation that's happening. I think for me, apart from that fount of wisdom that you talked about, is the openness. There is no question that's ridiculous to ask, and I feel that. You know, I don't feel hesitant, I don't feel nervous about asking anything really to that, you know, within that circle. So that's amazing as well.
You know, I'm here every day, and you sometimes forget how incredibly beautiful and original this campus is. And I'd love to ask you about your first impressions, the first time you physically set foot on the campus here.
You know, it was an incredible experience, but more than talking about my own experience and my husband's experience, because we had been exposed to the videos on YouTube, you know, we'd seen the TED Talks, we'd seen the website. I'd love to talk about how my son reacted to it. I have a 5-year-old, and we spent a day here at Green School. And at some point, 3 hours into spending that day, he turned around and he said, "Okay, but where's school?" And I said, "We are in school." He said, "No, but where's school? You know, the place where I'm supposed to study." And, you know, it took us 10 minutes to explain to him that this was his school, that he was going to be studying with cows and chickens and, you know, the vortex and the river and the bridge. That was his school. You know, that idea for me to explain to him that school can be as beautiful, as different from his imagination. He's only 5, you know, and yet that question was so strong, and that impression that it made on him was so vivid.
I love that. Out of the mouths of babes. Yeah. But where is school? He was looking for the box.
He was looking for the classroom.
Yes.
He was looking for the box. He
Yes.
was looking for
Yes.
the place where he could go in.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that there would be a teacher with a blackboard, there would be little desks, even, you know, little desks, because he's tiny.
Yeah.
But he was looking for that, and he just couldn't find that. And so he thought we were tricking him into saying yes, because we wanted him to agree to the decision as well. So he kept saying, "But where is school? You know, like, you're bringing me here to go to school. Where is school?" So that sort of, I think, clinched the decision for us as a family, that we wanted him to rethink what school could be. It was so important for us.
I love that. And how about settling into school? How's that process been for him?
Day 1, he didn't want to go in. Day 2, he didn't want to go in. Day 3, he complained because it was online school. He wanted to go back to campus. Day 4 onwards, I haven't heard, you know, a single complaint. He's up at 6 a.m., which is, you know, phenomenal for me. Getting ready to go to school and play with his friends. I think I have to say this, and I'm so grateful for all the teachers and, you know, for this community for keeping the school open. We spent 1 year last year not having this kind of interaction for him, and I know how much goes into that. So, thank you.
Well, that's what we're here for. That's what we do, and the energy, the colour, the movement, the sounds of having the children on site for learning is a beautiful thing, and we feel incredibly privileged to have him here, and incredibly grateful to all our families too, particularly our new families that have moved across the planet to be part of it. So it's fantastic talking with you this morning, Sanjana.
Thank you. It's anything I could do to talk about this. I'm thrilled to be here.
Should we go and have a cup of coffee?
Sure, absolutely.
Hi, my name is Fabrice. I'm a Green School parent, and my wife and I have one daughter basically at Green School, and she's attending grade 11. I've been here for 12 years, so I've known, and I do know very well, the ins and outs of traveling to Bali, living in Bali, and I'm happy to come here and share some tips with you. And next to that, I do also have a business, a travel business, that is basically helping and assisting people travel, especially through these troubled times. So to come to Indonesia, indeed, you do need a visa, and there's different types of visas. What is very important is that this is a very fluid situation, and that means that between now and when you plan to come in August or later in the year, many things might change, regulations might change. So it's very important that you stay in very close contact with school, and so that we can give you the most up-to-date information. Some families have a lot of experience already traveling around the world and sometimes resettling already, being expats, knowing the expat life. And others, it's your first time packing up your stuff and relocating on the other side of the world. And it's a huge decision. But always remember, especially with Green School, you're never alone. You never stand alone. You have a whole community around you. I personally, this is one of the reasons why I'm at Green School. It's this community life all around us, being as one, and that's just the beauty of the thing. Especially, and we've experienced that even more through this COVID time. So what I would recommend is, if you are still where you are and you're making your plans and you're trying to figure out how and what, make use of that community. And that means make sure that if you're a Facebook user, that you use the Green School New Families page, that you join the Green School New Generation page. There's a housing page, there's a travel page. We've got WhatsApp groups for communities and for the community living here. So there's so many resources, and you'll see the moment you ask one question, you are going to have 100 answers to your question. So make use of it. We're here for you, and we look forward to welcoming you.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for sticking with us. I hope you found that helpful, give you a few more insights into the school, and also that conversation around travel and visas, because the good news is that we are supporting families to get here to Bali, even in these tricky times, and to keep their kind of Green School dream alive. So not easy, but worth it.
Yeah, very much. In fact, I can hear the primary school assembly. I don't know if any of that's coming up on the mic, but
yeah, we've got it.
If I run off and I come back sweaty from dancing and singing the Green School song, you know where I've been.
Yeah, that's it. It's a beautiful distraction in our background here. But on with the show, we're really pleased to have pinched a little time from one of our grade 12 students to have a chat with you this morning. So come on in, Tiago. Let's introduce you to our friends, including some children out there that are on the end of this Zoom call, which is always really special. So, Tiago, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, actually. Maybe you can let us know where you're from, how long you've been here, and where you're up to now at Green School.
Well, my name is Tiago. I am a Brazilian senior student here in Green School Bali. I've been here for around 10 years, since grade 2, actually, where I came to Green School not knowing a single word of English. Now I speak fluently, so, already one of the wonders of an international school. But what I'm up to now is I'm in my senior year of high school here in Green School, where you do, sort of a capstone project, the Greenstone project, which mine will be, I'll be taking ghost nets from the ocean, which are abandoned fishing nets, turning them into volleyball nets, and introducing them to local Balinese schools and teaching them about ocean conservation, that kind of stuff. So that's one of the things that I'm up to right now. For example, in this time period that I allotted for today, I'm doing this, but I could be, preparing for moderating an international conference on climate change, which is something that I'm doing tomorrow, actually. You know, so
You're busy.
I'm really
Yeah.
busy.
You're a busy boy. So it's hard to believe you were such a tiny little thing when you started here in grade 2.
Oh,
We
I was
remember that was a long
tiny.
time ago. You come a long way, friend.
Yes, very
But what's
long
nice
way.
is you've had that experience through primary school, middle school, and all the way now to grade 12 and working on your capstone project, which is fantastic. So thanks for giving us some time this morning instead of moderating that international conference.
I mean, I'm just preparing for it. It's
Okay.
tomorrow. Don't worry.
You'll be
Don't
able to
worry.
do that too.
It'll be fine. But you also have a little sister in this school, and I know we have some families out there with younger children as well. Maybe you
Yeah.
can tell us a little about Louisa.
Well, Louisa is my younger 9-year-old sister who is in grade 4. She's a free spirit, very wild and energetic, but extremely confident and brave. And, you know, that's something that Green School has totally taught her. It's just, you know, to have confidence in what you believe and, you know, to challenge the system, you know, and, you know, create your own ideals. So, you know, she's great. She's amazing. You know, she comes home every day, super excited to go back to school. You know, oh, look what I learned today. You know, I learned something new, or like, you know, today we cared for the Bali starlings, or today we went around for posters about, you know, dogs' health. And that just, it like really simple stuff, but like for a primary student to have confidence in themselves to already, you know, become an activism at such a young age is incredible. And my sister, I think, is a really good example of that.
That's nice. And so that, Sal, you talked earlier about, you know, knowledge, skills, and values, and that, you know, you're speaking about those values coming through in Louisa in grade 4, which is just so beautiful to hear about. So we have some questions here. So thank you very much for sending those through. So we're going to dive into those. I know
now the fun starts, like the hot
fun
seat.
stuff. The
You
hot
ready?
seat.
You
We're
ready,
on the hot
Tiago?
seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's more than ready.
He's more, yeah. We'll just ask Tiago. I might start asking
Yeah,
Tiago some
we
questions.
can take it. We'll go and have a coffee. We'll leave it to you, Tiago.
Yeah.
No, we're all here for you.
Yeah.
If you have a question that's really specific about your own child's enrolment, please send that through. I'm sure Leanne and the team are putting email addresses and links in the chat, and we're very, very happy to speak to you separately about that and individually. We're focused right now on onboarding our January families, so finalising everyone that's joining us in semester 2, and then we will be turning our attention, love and support on the families that are going to join us in August 2022.
Oh, it's exciting thinking about August 2022, isn't it? Yeah.
So our first question here from Eric, and Sal, it'd be great to get your perspective on this. This is really around proficiency and thematic-based learning, and in particular, maths is probably a good example. So I think our friend Eric had watched the little clip on The Martian, which is a great example that we put together to show how thematic-based learning can work, with math at the centre of that one, but bringing in literacy and science and communication and so on into one thematic unit. So maybe you can share a little bit about how the proficiencies are wrapped into thematic units at
Give
Green School.
a bit of an overview. We have 3 frames.
Particularly for primary, sorry, just to pick up Eric.
But across the school, very similar, and there's different focus points, but across the school we have consider 3 frames of learning really important. So a proficiency frame, which is more in a traditional maths, literacy, science. Our Bahasa programs are through our proficiency program as well. A thematic frame, so that's integrated real world learning, where you're not teaching one subject, but you're teaching a theme, and then you're integrating history, art, music, science, literature, all into a theme. And then experiential learning. So we know that students learn best, and sometimes they learn better than ever, by experiencing and having an impact with their learning. So we're not throwing out important literacy or numeracy skills. We're not throwing away important understandings within the scientific world as well. And knowledge for us is really important. Building strong literacy skills, strong communication skills, ability to think critically, write and communicate effectively are really, really important to us. Similarly with maths, you know, we've got a really strong proficiency maths thread running through the school, which allows students to upskill on sort of specific maths number skills, but also to expand their learning and to make it relevant to the real world, which is sort of where thematics come into it most of the time. You know, I don't go about my day-to-day doings by just going from one lesson to another lesson to another lesson where everything is in a box. You know, learning and the world are interconnected, they're systems. And so when you teach thematic, you're really doing, what you're doing is you're teaching about the real world, because you're integrating issues that are important to us, whether they be environmental sustainability issues, social justice issues. You're integrating skill-based learning opportunities, you're integrating values-based learning, all mixed with knowledge. And you do, like our primary program specifically, the whole program is, the spine of the program is based on the thematics. So it's a thematic in a primary for, in term one, they have two thematics, one's shorter and one longer, and then they have term thematics that run through the year across primary school that anchors the learning program in a place, and then is able to branch out into the arts, into music, into theatre, into culture, into really explicit sustainability-based education, integrating, therefore, then able to integrate what they're learning in a proficiency class, whether it's a writing exercise or whether they're doing fractions in maths. They're able to integrate their proficiency-based learning into a thematic unit, and therefore enabling them to have impact with their learning, because that's one of the most important things that thematics allows us to do, is to provide students not just the opportunity, but the self-awareness to have impact, to activate their learning and have impact with their learning now. Because I don't know about anyone else in the room or here, but I only learnt stuff for an exam. I only was taught information and then had to regurgitate it for an exam, and people gave me a number. We don't do that so much at Green School. Yeah, we have assessment, so don't get that wrong. We do have assessment, but we think about it a little bit differently. If we really want to impact education, we really want to create a learning experience and a learning journey for a student that's student-centered, holistic, and relevant to the real world, you can't really do it without a thematic component to a learning program.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to. We don't have a school where you just go from one lesson, switch off your English literacy brain, and then move into a maths lesson, because that's not what the real world's about. And integrated learning, thematic style learning, is really important to us.
Yeah, thanks for that explanation, Sal, because I think for most of us as parents, if we're not educators, just understanding, what the learning sort of looks like at Green School and what those sort of key points of difference are, and that blurring the lines around subjects is a really important piece here. And
connecting it to the real world has to happen
Yeah.
through thematic learning. It has to, yeah.
So actually, I was going to ask Tiago, put you on the hot seat. I don't know if you cast your mind back or more recently, like think about some of the thematic units you've done at Green School, and if any kind of come to mind, because I'm sure our friends out there would love to hear an example or two.
My most memorable ones were probably in middle school, especially with Pack Driver. I remember doing the one where it was based off The Martian, where we got sent to Mars, and we had to manage resources, and we had to also
collaborate.
Collaborate, and team up with your friends and solve problems. The oxygen tank is busted, and there are these chemicals affecting it, and then now you implement science, and now we're doing science, and then you have to plan your trip to this crater where you're gonna find resources. And to do that, you have a certain amount of people, and now you're implementing maths into it, maths and planning and strategy, and writing back to your families while you're in Mars. Now you were writing, and you're doing an English aspect of it. That was really cool. Or another one where we got sent to a random island of Indonesia, and we were all representing tribes. And with these tribes, you kind of had to dominate the whole board.
We didn't actually send them to a random island in Indonesia.
Yeah, no.
We do sometimes.
It was a map. It was a map,
Yeah.
in Pack Driver's room.
Yeah.
But it was really fun because he was like, oh, now we're going to sail by boat, and go over to, this treasure cove. And it's going to give us a math equation or something. And if we do that, we get 10 points in the class.
Yeah.
So those are the really fun, game thematics. But I remember also doing some other ones. I remember grade 5, I believe, we did one completely based around Greek mythology, and not only Greek mythology as in the gods, Zeus and that kind of stuff, but just kind of Greek history as well, and learning about some of the math that they discovered, learning about the famous philosophers, and it was just really interesting. And thematics is not so much a thing in high school exactly as in the actual thematics class, but classes as a whole, every single one integrates the thematics aspect, So a maths class in middle school is a math class, with integrated aspects, and then you have your thematics, which is kind of everything. In high school, your math class, like I remember taking one in grade 10 where we learned how to use spreadsheets and how to make like a budget and how to plan for stuff. I remember I took a class where we did a study on stocks. Like, where are you going to do a study on stocks? Like, I know that's something that, you don't traditionally see at green school, but that's just so different. And then science class about ocean conservation and, carbon emission, greenhouse gases. You have the bio bus. There's so much that green school has to offer, which is just like encompassing everything that's relevant to the world right now. It's so cool.
Thanks, Tiago. Gosh, that's a lot right there. But thanks for sharing that, because I'm sure you want some real life examples of what learning looks like. And thanks very much. Keep the questions coming. We talked a little, you mentioned exams, Sal, and maybe you could just do a quick recap on that one, because there is a separate question in here on exams. And you made an important point that just because we don't do standardized tests does not mean we don't assess student growth and development.
An assessment looks differently and should look differently depending on the age, depending on the learning neighbourhood. Was that question learning neighbourhood specific?
No, it was a general question about
we know
exams.
there's two major types of assessment. There's the formative or the summative. We definitely find the need and the necessity, like any school, to understand, the impact the teaching and learning program is happening on an individual learner. So therefore, you do need to assess. What we're moving away from is assessing just in one point instance, and so saving up our assessments for the end of a unit, and moving away from just having a numerical assessment. When we talk about teaching and learning for skills and values, it's pretty hard to put a number or get 100% on equity or on communication. We're all learners, we're all improving, we're all developing. So there are sort of more innovative ways. We can do that. When I taught maths, I had a spot quiz nearly every lesson. It was a way that we got better at accessing and retrieving new math skills. And I thought, that sort of spot quiz maths assessment was more valid than a final exam at the end. But I also think that we do a lot in terms of student-centered assessment. So by asking our students what they learn and to be able to communicate their learning, whether it be what challenges did I overcome, what skills did I use to overcome these challenges, things like what did I know before the unit that I was able to apply in my learning, and then what have I learned now that I see myself being able to apply later. A real assessment of learning there. Because I don't know, but I left school with a number, it was 85, and apparently after 12 schools that was enough of an assessment of me as a learner. But if we think a holistic learning program, a student-centered learning program, has to have a student-centered holistic assessment regime to it as well, which does include formal assessments. You go to high school, you're going to have a pretty in-depth algebra test at the end of your Algebra 2 class. We want to know you can do these things. But there's other ways to assess, and we don't think that just that final grade, that final number is just an adequate reflection of a learner.
Yeah, we never think of you as 85.
There's also homework.
Sal.
I bet you there's a question about homework. Oh, can I skip to the homework question? But we do
can.
have homework too, you know. This is a fun, happy school in the jungle. It's having impact with a new model of learning, but learning at home is a part of our program as well. So yes, there's a curriculum, and yes, we do assessment, and yes, there is homework. I bet you've been doing homework, especially in high school.
A lot of it. I mean, I'm doing AP stats right now.
Yeah.
You're at the pointy end.
He's at the pointy end. But, we don't set homework for the sake of it. We make it so it's impactful. But also, important to know that there are some sort of misunderstandings with what Green School Bali could be. Yes, good, strong proficiencies. Yes, they're integrated and able to connect the learners with the real world through building good numeracy, literacy skills, etc. Yes, there's assessment. We are not throwing everything away. We're just modifying it to the needs of the world and modifying it to individual student needs.
Yeah, thanks, Sal.
I know the homework question's coming.
Yeah, so. Great. No, you've preempted it, so that's excellent. Exams and homework, they're hot questions often that come
and they happen here, but they're different, and they should be different.
So let's try. I want to shout out again to all the kids out there, because I see a lot of you that are still on the call, and thank you for staying. It's great to have you. Oh, some waving back. That's nice. Let's talk about something that you might be interested in, kids, which is physical well-being. So sport, physical fitness, which of course at Green School we also think about this is connected to our social and emotional well-being too. All of these things are interconnected. And there's a question specifically about yoga and the mud pit. So how does that come into the program? But perhaps, Sal, you might share with us a little bit more sort of the philosophy and general approach to physical well-being. And then Tiago, maybe you want to give us some examples of, have a think about some physical well-being experiences you've had at Green School that maybe are a bit different to a regular school. So I'll give you a minute to think about that.
Well, understanding ourselves is, primary focus here, and understanding our bodies and how to take care of our bodies is important across the school. Physical well-being, we don't actually call it PE anymore, physical education, PE, it's more a physical well-being. So integrated some traditional sports components. The school has connections with other schools, so we play inter-school sports as well in terms of the main sports in Indonesia, but volleyball, basketball, where else do we go? Athletics, swimming, there's another running, so cross country. So we do a lot of what normal other schools do in terms of a PE or a physical well-being program. But there's so much more to being physically active. And in fact, I think even just putting PE into a box where you're just playing organised traditional sports is not the box that we're in. There's a lot of physical well-being classes in our yoga studio. We do have a pretty cool mud pit, which combines playing in the mud, but a Balinese martial art and dance form called Mapantagon. Being in the garden, when we did middle school physical well-being electives, there were probably half of them that were normal PE style sports, but other ones like jungle run, a seats to table. I think being physically active in our garden space is something that a lot of students like doing, and then they can see their impact there. Because students are out right now integrating their physical well-being in their jalan-jalan, their experiential learning. So they're out, I think it's rock climbing today. They were mountain biking last week and trekking and mountain climbing the weeks before.
I think my son is surfing today.
It's surfing, amazing surf program called the Student Ocean Ambassadors Program, SOAP. And so they're not just learning how to surf, but learning how to protect the marine environment and having an impact around our beaches in Bali. I think, rather than think that our physical wellbeing program is like a standard school PE, yes, we do have the standard school PE classes, but we also have other ways that students can express themselves, learn about their connection with nature, learn about their bodies, and again, see that their learning has immediate impact now.
So just to the question here, it's not necessarily the case that every student across every grade level would be doing yoga every day. They would definitely be doing mindfulness every day, but the yoga would feature as part of a program sort of coming in and out across different grade levels, particularly in early years. So I know
the early years, yoga is really fun and awesome in our 3, 4 and 5-year-olds. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is really cool. and a lot of the time, it's an elective part when you get to a bit older in the school, middle school, high school. You can choose to do a yoga unit, or you can choose. We have community yoga as well, faculty yoga on a Thursday afternoon, parent yoga.
We have the most beautiful yoga studio.
I think it's the only building made of wood on campus.
Beautiful, recycled wood.
So yoga's a part of the program, but it's not like they're coming to school every day and doing yoga. Yeah. But like Kate said, they should be coming to school and practicing some mindfulness, and whether that's in a social emotional class, or whether it's part of your physical well-being class that you're going to practice some mindfulness, or our epic 2:00 in the afternoon gong, where a whole community pauses for 3 big gongs. That's a mindfulness moment for us as well. So when we think about physical well-being, we're thinking about it in a holistic way again, but also in a student-centered way that allows students to connect with their learning. Well, I know that a lot of students don't want to do PE because they don't want to go off and do soccer for a term. Soccer might not be their thing, and why are we disconnecting students from their learning when they're just not into it? So giving options, student-centered options to a physical well-being learning program is really important to us, especially when they're older.
Yeah, it's a good point. And giving children choice as they sort of get older, that increases, giving them autonomy, supported choice around building their own individualized kind of learning journey is a big part of the Green School experience, especially once you get up into sort of grades 4, 5, middle school and high school. But let's go to Tiago, because I know you're a physical kind of guy, and so your sister also. I have literally seen her up a coconut tree more than once. But maybe you can share with us, some of the experiences you've had with the physical wellbeing programs at Green School. And I guess to Sal's point, this includes Jalans and all sorts of other courses and classes that are physical in nature.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I'm a huge surfer, so like, I remember when I was in middle school, we had the advanced surfing program where instead of getting up to doing normal PE, we would wake up at 5:30 a.m., go surfing with our teacher, and come back in time for snack. That was something I did in middle school. In high school, we didn't really have that, so it became more of a thing you picked for Jalan, but where you went to the beaches and you picked up trash. And then there was one where you planned the WOW Festival, which is the World Oceans Day. We had the WOW Festival raising awareness about ocean conservation, and students planned that and got, people and like big NGOs from all over the world, like Parlay and that kind of stuff involved. It was really cool. They held like a competition for local students and had like a fundraiser. So we have some really cool things with that. For more traditional sports, you might have volleyball. Like, for example, I'm really into volleyball right now. I'm playing volleyball nearly every day. So you do have that traditional aspect of, sports in general. But I remember taking a class in ninth grade, for example, where we went to the gym on one day, like on Tuesday, whatever it was. And then the other day we had class, we would learn about nutrition, and how to keep our bodies healthy through our diets and that kind of stuff. So Green School really offers different ways to learn about physical well-being, and taking those opportunities instead of just going through like the streamlined traditional path is really important to get the most authentic experience.
Yeah, that's great, Tiago. I saw you the other day actually over in our amazing gymnasium. Friends, if you have not seen the Green School Bali gymnasium, you need to check out a picture of that, because it really is something else. But you were over there. I saw you with some high schoolers. Everybody was soaking wet. It was pouring with rain. But you'd come across to the gym and you were playing volleyball in there. It was a delight to watch that. But even just aside from that amazing centre and the programs, just the physicality of the Green School campus itself. And, we work with the natural topography and terrain here. And so we're moving around this campus every day in these sort of uneven surfaces and so on. And this is all very intentional, which is a lot about our physical well-being, but also the cognitive development, and just being connected again to nature and being in the wonderful kind of wildness of the natural world. Yeah.
Very true. And just
I used to
listening
live
to the
next to school. That's probably why I have tough legs. I'd walk up and down all these like 300 stairs every day.
You did. You lived right by school. All right, well, let's jump to a slightly different subject. So, question here about spirituality. So, how does our program develop or nourish, nurture a child's individual spirituality, their connection to the kind of bigger universe?
Yeah, that's an awesome question.
It's a great question.
Because it's
Thank
so
you.
individual as well.
Yeah.
One of our Green School skills, it's a little bit different. We've got, everyone knows the 21st century skills, life skills, yada, yada. But be aware is one of our skills, our Green School skills that we focus on here. And having a self-awareness of who you are and being comfortable with yourself, and then having an understanding of that connection and your opportunities to connect with people and with place, with the environment, is really important to us. I would say that, that sort of social, emotional, spiritual side can have different aspects. There's parts of the spiritual learnings here are connecting to our Balinese culture and participating in some of the ceremonies, beautiful Balinese Hindu ceremonies that we do, which allows us, again, not just to witness an amazing culture, but to participate in it. A mindfulness program that's really strong across the school that allows students to take a moment, to pause, to be able to think, to be able to breathe, and to connect with themselves again. We have strong social emotional standout classes, but also integrate social emotional and values-based learning within other parts of the program as well. When again I'll use the word holistic, and thinking about holistic education in terms of student-centered education, that spiritual development or that spiritual self-awareness is important to us, but it does look a little bit different when you get into different parts of the school. Yesterday, a really cool example that Leanne spoke about was this earlier students teaching us all about a value of ours, which is peace. Peace, and they walked around the whole school in a peace parade singing this song, "Love is like an ocean, love is like a river." And I sat there and I watched it and I was like, this is amazing. We've got students actually learning a value here that's so important to us. And you can't learn a value like peace or love or compassion, empathy, without actually practicing it. And so rather than even thinking in terms of the spiritual connections or spiritual development, it's practiced here as much as rather than just taught about. And we provide opportunities, whether it's through mindfulness, whether it's through yoga, whether it's just through times. I used to do mindfulness maths classes on our epic Green School bridge across the river, because it was a way that we could connect with nature and connect with ourselves. So, there's just so many options available to talk about in terms of spiritual development or development of the whole person. But it's a focus of ours. We know now that relationships are key to any learning experience and should be a key focus for all schools. Building relationships within starts first, and we know that sustainability itself starts with an inner sustainability and understanding of who we are. So it's a big part of our program, but it's filtered and sprinkled across all of the learning program, rather than just going, right, we're going off to a religious studies class, or we're going to do social emotional here for 1 hour a week or 2 lessons a week, wherever it is.
Sal, that Peace Day parade yesterday was so beautiful, with our most adorable and innocent community members, our early years children, really coming through the school and reminding everybody about tolerance, about kindness, about openness. And it was just so beautiful. And Tiago, I think they ended up over in high school. Were you there when they arrived?
You had a party, didn't
we
you?
got the whole high school just stopped, went up to our peace garden area that we still unnamed. And we just had the early years and we were all singing all together. It was really fun. It was really cool.
So you guys learned that song too. I think that was a surprise for our early years kids, that you guys had learned the song also. So good sing with
the
them.
early years just started singing, and then the entirety of high school just started singing it together.
Bless.
It was really cool.
Are you tearing up, Sal?
Just about. Well, a lot of places are talking about values-based education and social emotional focuses within schools. And it's something that we're developing, and I know other schools and other thinkers in education are trying to build a pathway, a map for proper values-based learning. And that's what we saw yesterday, where a community can learn together, share that learning together, and celebrate that learning together. That's how you learn about peace. That's how you learn about equity. That's how you learn about integrity. These things are really important to us and should be in schools around the world. And we see it happening here. Yesterday was a perfect example. Those students, every person on this campus had a lesson on peace yesterday. And that's pretty cool. Parents as well. Parents, teachers, admin, students, everyone on our campus had a lesson on peace yesterday. Yeah. And that's a pretty special thing.
Nice. So there's a question here which I absolutely love. Thank you, whoever asked the question about whether or not you can tap into some of the parent programs. I think there was some in my conversation with Sanjana, which you watched. We talked about some of the experiences that we put together for our parents who are also learners in the Green School community. And we put that together with a lot of thought and love and input from our parents ourselves on what is it that they want to discover, explore, skill up on, or learn about while they're here at Green School. So that is all put together by our parent co-learning, co-working, co-creating centre, which is called The Bridge. And I'm sure we can put a link there to the Bridge website so you can get on there and see what's on. And from time to time, events are streamed live. There are podcasts there and articles and a newsletter you can read as well, all on that website. So we'll share that with you.
Heaps for the parents to do. In fact, it's just too much sometimes. Yeah. So almost, parents come here and they're like, oh, where's the time machine? I want to come back and go to school here. And then they realise there's so many opportunities for them to actually go back to school here.
Well, we a few years ago really kind of not formalised, but I guess put some love and scaffolding around our kind of parent participation and parent programs, just to make sure they're held and they continue on and continue to build. And we call it Green School for Grown-Ups.
Green School for Grown-Ups.
Green School for Grown-Ups, which is the bridge is kind of our portal to all of that. And it's another, I guess, I think, fairly unique thing about Green School that we have our own space on the campus for our parents to come to enjoy the amazing food here, to experience the campus, to connect with each other and to learn. Yeah.
And to share that learning within the community as well is really
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. It's part of the Green School. It's very close to my heart. I have a question here from a family who has a 12-year-old who has been homeschooling for the last 3 years. They're just asking a question about children coming from a homeschool or an unschool kind of background. I guess we have such a variety at Green School, children that have come through a more traditional school system, private schools, and homeschooled as well. And it is a kind of case-by-case sort of thing with the application process.
Yeah, we definitely have a full spectrum of people coming from all types of schools to here, all types of education sort of programs. We've never, the homeschooling students are often assimilate, I think, probably a little bit better to students that are coming out of a really rigid, more traditional school system. The concept of, especially when they're older, the concept of the availability of choice to build your own learning journey is something that's not so new to a homeschooling student. You know, I suppose a lot of the planet over the past couple of years has done a fair bit of homeschooling themselves, so we're all experiencing a little bit of that. But yeah, we've from different languages to different school experiences. The transition in here I see is not seamless. It takes a little while to get to know the learning programs and how we function here. But no different. I don't see there'd be any sort of difference between kids, homeschooling or coming from different schools.
So one thing we've really developed
the Green School Skill Adapt.
Adapt.
We have the Green School Skill Adapt, and homeschooling students are definitely probably better at that than the rigid traditional system. So
yeah. But one thing we've really developed over the years, the last 14 years of Green School, since the school opened in 2008, or coming up for 14 years, the school has grown every year. It started as a small school and it's grown and grown, and it added the high school about 8 years ago and so on. And so every year, twice a year actually, in August and then in January, we welcome new families into our community. And so
it's a bit unique now, though.
Transition is
we're smaller now, so that's I think it's a good thing in terms of transitions and people thinking about August next year. We're a smaller school now, which is giving us an opportunity to not audit but reflect on our place, the learning spaces that we use, our programs. We've been able to not hit a pause button, but definitely do some self-reflection on that. And I think now it's a really cool time to be joining the community. And when we got to 520 odd, that was a different type of school. And now we're a bit smaller, we're a bit more agile, and with putting a lot of our learning over the last couple of years into practice in developing better ways of working around curriculum, around learning program, around a community, around the campus space as well. So it's a pretty unique time in terms of the Green School experience because 13, 14 years, it's no longer an experiment, and we've had this opportunity over the past couple of years to self-reflect and to make adjustments, and coming into a community that's smaller is I think advantageous in a way for new families to think.
It's really great, families. I do encourage you to get onto the website and have a look at what's there, including the curriculum overviews for the different learning neighbourhoods, because if you are coming from a system that is quite different and you do want to join us, it's worth really taking some time to read through those, because if you're coming from a homeschool or a less structured school environment, there is some structure here at Green School. There's a kind of a schedule or a routine to the day that we feel is important, particularly for the younger learners, just to give them that safety and security. But also if you're coming from a more traditional school, there'll be things that would look quite different as well. So it's worth taking some time and having a read through some of those documents.
And there's that other side of transition as well, Kate. Like, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a question, students transitioning into Green School Bali is one thing to consider, but also the concept of leaving Green School Bali and going home to your home school, or even after grade 12, graduating and going to university. Yeah, that happens all the time too. Our students don't leave here behind in maths and literacy. In fact, sometimes it's the opposite, and a lot of people are pleasantly surprised with the traditional skill development that our students gain whilst they're here. We're not like I said earlier, we're not sort of throwing away all of what we think is good for learning in terms of academic learning. But students transition here. It takes a while to get used to the different environment, the bugs, the jungle, the different options in their learning, but they also transfer and transition back home really well as well. That's important to know.
Yeah, that's great. And just in terms of family support for kind of settling in and coming to Green School, so enrolments generally for the year ahead, so for August 2022, will cut off at around about March. You can have a look on the website for the key dates and deadlines in there. And they do close off. We will be growing a bit in August, but not too much. So we are keen, anyone who does want to get in touch with us and talk about their application or is ready to apply, please move that along. But what happens, which is beautiful, after we know who's coming, so from March right through to August, we have a series of onboarding events and information that goes out to all our families, including the children, before they start. And then our teachers here, who we haven't talked about much, we should talk about our teachers, right, Tiago? They're ready to support a nice transition into the community for the children, and myself and Leanne and others are here for you, the parents, to make sure you get connected and feel part of the community and learn how to make the most of the Bali experience as well, which is such a big part of it. Tiago, maybe I'm going to jump back to the questions, but maybe give us just a couple of words on your kind of thoughts or reflections about the teachers at Green School.
I mean, personally, what really makes Green School, like for me, is the teachers. The teachers I've had along the way. You know, from grade 2 all the way until grade 12, the teachers who have supported me, who have acted, you know, as idols for me. Even, you know, I have teachers that I admire so much. You know, some of them have left, some of them are still here, but some of them are like almost like friends to me, and they truly respect the students and, you know, accommodate the students to their individuality and to their uniqueness. And the teachers here are extraordinary. It's amazing, you know, how much they can engage the students and, you know, make subjects interesting and teach us about, you know, real world problems and, you know, completely influence our lives. Like, I'm thinking about majoring in international relations, and that's all because one teacher that gave me a little push to do Model United Nations. You know, one teacher that taught me about history. You know, I have another teacher that I'm really into arts because he, you know, kind of showed me that world and, you know, gave me this kind of pathway for me to explore it. Just the teachers here are amazing.
That's so good. You know,
so
Tiago,
good.
my eldest son, Patrick, he
Yes.
graduated in 2018. And when he had come back to Bali, he's studying environmental science. And he mentioned to me that he was going to have lunch with some friends. And I said, oh, it's nice. Who are you having lunch with? And he mentioned their names, and they were all teachers from Green School, which I thought was really beautiful. So I just want to honour all these questions, make sure we get them answered for you. So let me just grab one here. Oh, okay. So this is a great question about a family asking if they can come for a short stay. So we do have Green Camp. You can't enroll in Green School just for a couple of weeks. 1 year is our usual minimum enrolment period, except for early years. We can take a 1 semester enrolment if there's a space available. The rest of the school, it's 1 full year or 2 semesters, except also for grade 11 and 12, because that's a 2-year diploma program. That's what you're in right now.
Come in grade 12.
That's it. Okay.
Good answer.
But Green Camp, and you can
Still
find
waiting for
information on
Tiago.
Green Camp. I'm sure Leanne or Tiana putting that link there in the chat as well. And Green Camp will be running programs, I think, over the sort of December, January period. So if you're interested and you can get here to Bali, then please come and spend some time at Green
You
Camp.
need a year here, I think.
Oh, yeah,
You
you
need
need
a
a year,
year, yeah.
at least.
I'm still waiting for Tiago to start talking about his awesome middle school maths teacher. I didn't get a mention, did I?
This guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
missed
thanks,
when I
mate.
had maths with you. Then I got sent to Ibadian's advanced math class, and God, that was a lot harder.
Yeah. You know, my son, he left to go to New Zealand for 6 months at the start of the pandemic, and a little anecdote around our maths program here. You know, he's not probably as naturally aligned with maths skills as I am. But he said, I was so nervous when I went to school on his first day in New Zealand, especially in maths, because they were going to do a test and they were going to assess everyone and judge where they are, their levels. Then he realised that the maths there was so easy, and so his plan now, he's come back to green school. His plan now is to come to green school probably until he's in about grade 10. He might do some high school later on in New Zealand. But he wants to be at green school because it makes you really smart in the maths classes. So, yeah.
You take that.
Take that.
We'll take that. Okay, so just a question here about support for families. So I mentioned in the kind of run up to the next intake, which really we're pretty much set for January. So now we're looking at August 2022, and we have a series of and number of resources that we provide to all incoming families, including on travel. So right now, the school can support families that are coming, that are joining Green School with their visa and travel support services to get into Bali, because we know that's not as straightforward as it normally is.
No, a few little added challenges there. But so we've got families coming now, and we've had families come through over the last, 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
A few more challenges, but it's worth it when you get here.
Okay, that's great. So here's a good one.
Here's a good one.
We saw on the TED Talk that Green School founder John Hardy had dyslexia and became a great strength of his. So this is a question about a family who has a child with dyslexia, and is it seen as a strength?
Oh, totally. All learners, I'd say, I don't know. I think we've all got strengths, and I think, we're definitely not putting learning support students, whether it's or whatever it is in there, in a box or in a classroom on their own, or we're not dampening that sort of creative, explosive imagination that we know that a lot of dyslexics have as well. I think this school is, let's be honest, it's not for everyone either. There's a lot of sensory overload here. I'm getting it now in terms of the bugs. So, we have good learning support, but I wouldn't say that it's segmented and specialised in any way. It's more integration with our learners. I think having either dyslexia or any learning support needs, part of the program itself, and even the student-centred part of the program, allows students to operate to their strengths, and their passions. It's part of the world, and it's part of, we're all individual thinkers and learners, and rather than think of dyslexia as something that's hampering or hindering someone, we definitely find that special spark in people, connect them to their learning, and find the ways that they as an individual can access their potential.
Yeah.
All of them. Yeah, all of them.
And if you haven't watched John's TED Talk,
that's what got me here.
That is worth a look as well, Sal, because it still stands true to today. And I think John's own experience at school, where he was told, I mean, you had the score of 85, which is pretty good. Yeah. But John also, being tested by a score and being told, his prospects actually weren't great, when he was, a genius and an incredible artist and a visionary and an entrepreneur, and had so much, and so had to work against actually what he was told at school to realise his kind of potential.
I suppose when you move away from just a learning program that's designed to input information into a brain, and then get that brain to spit it back out at you, and you turn it into something that allows student-centeredness, it's got holistic, you've got your social emotional things, but you've got skills and values integrated in there. It's something that all learners can engage with, and all learners can interact with.
Yeah. Actually, Tiago, be interested in your insights too, because you've had a decade's worth of experience as a student here, and maybe you could share with our friends out there your kind of, if you sort of take a minute, I'll give you a minute, just to think about like what you think the kind of ideal learner is at Green School. Like, who are the children that really thrive at Green School and get the most out of this experience? Are there any kind of attributes or things that you see that you think a good, a thriving Green Schooler has in them?
For sure. I mean, I think Green School is not for absolutely everyone. If you want to leave, a chill, traditional life, and, you might get overwhelmed from something as high energy as Green School, then, maybe consider other places. But Green School really kind of promotes growth for, students like me, or students like my friend Eamon, who are high energy and are involving themselves in the school and take as many opportunities as possible, because Green School offers so many of them and allows you to create opportunities for yourself to grow, as a learner and as a person, and develop skills that the ideal green school learner is the one that is curious, the one that asks questions, the one that wants to activate and be a part of, the green school. So I
Yeah,
feel like that's really,
that's great.
where the ideal learner would be.
Yeah, and so that process of thinking about green school, if you are, please join this event, other events. Once families have an application in, we have regular Q&A Zoom sessions, and I drag Sal along to those as well. Well, he loves it
I love
actually,
it.
don't you? He
Yeah.
does love it. And parents from time to time too that can share their insights, because what we want are families that really understand what green school has to offer and feel like this is the right thing for their child. And if they have an older child, high school or even middle school, for the child also to understand that and hopefully want that kind of experience themselves as well. So it's very much a kind of two-way selection process. And we love our parents that income and the older kids to be informed and know what they're coming into and be ready for that. And as Tiago said, be ready to kind of turn up and step up and really grab the opportunities.
Very high energy, so be ready.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know another place
Can't
like
say
it
better
actually.
than that.
Yeah.
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 Okay, great. So good question here. Sam, we might start with you, and then Tiago, interested in your thoughts too. How do students transition out of green school environment and into a university? And thank you for asking this, or any other professional path, aka the real world.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah. Well, there's true. We're all on a bit of a pathway. You know, a lot of people, when we're talking about pathways at school, sort of limit it to grade 11 and 12. What are they going to do after school? But I'm just going to sort of be mindful that designing learning experiences is all a pathway. It's all about pathways. But look, our high school students leave here, specific good information. They leave here with a high school diploma from a school that is accredited internationally and in Indonesia. The diploma sort of looks at probably more like a high school diploma from the States. All basically over 8 years, 9 years of graduating classes. Any of our students that's wanted to go to university, straight to university, has gone to university. But our pathways options are a little bit more holistic again. We know that students may not necessarily want to go straight into university. The concepts around service, the concepts around taking a gap year, the concepts around starting an entrepreneurial business themselves. Our high school students go off and do some pretty amazing, cool things. Now, high school students also leave with a pretty epic e-portfolio. Yeah, I don't know, how's yours going? Yeah.
It's getting there.
Yeah, getting there. They also leave with their TED Talk style presentation to the world, which is their Greenstone project, which is probably one of the most epic learning experiences and epic forms of assessment, if we wanted to talk about that, in terms of who they are and what their learning has impacted now. So there are options. All of our Indonesian students from last year are going to the top universities across Indonesia. Students often get accepted into university and think, oh no, maybe later, I'll do that later. I think pathways here, yeah, we've got good strong pathways through our upper high school to understand once those students are older and understand sort of where their pathways are. But part of, I think, the rich pathways focus at Green School is keeping the pathways options open. They're really important. So rather than just narrowed focus, you know, I only want to go to university, but what are your options? Keeping options open is probably one of the most important things about pathway planning for our older students now in terms of this fast changing world. 2 years ago, you could have been very much very excited and ready to go straight into a university program, but the world changed on us pretty quick and we had to adapt. So keeping your options open, knowing that tertiary education, university is an option, knowing that there are so many other options and possibilities of what you can do with your one awesome life after Green School, and we provide the support and sort of guidance, information on whatever that pathway is.
Yeah, that's great, Sal, and so important. And I think we're learning from the younger people how they think about careers and kind of life after school.
Well, it's different now, you know.
Well. Yeah.
Like 10, 20 years
different.
ago, you'd go to school. That school experience would define the profession, the job that you would work in for 40 or 50 years, and then you would retire and thanks very much. We know that the world's changing really fast. We know that part of that change is changing employment structures around the world. the constant need of upskilling, the constant need to be able to be a lifelong learner, the constant need to collaborate, to communicate, to integrate new technologies. There are so many fast-changing things, and to build a learning program that provides support and guidance for all learners to move into the world as functional, happy people. We haven't said happy yet. I can't believe I haven't said happy yet. But yeah, it's something that education needs to do. We need to be preparing young people for having impact in their lives and in the world.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Sal. Thanks for sharing that. And folks, you can find some more information, I think, on our high school page on the website or the alumni page. I think if you go to the high school overview, you can actually get to the alumni page. I'm sure someone's putting that in the chat for you, but hop in there and read some of our alumni stories. So, you know, I've had two.
Or watch a Greenstone.
Children.
Get some links on the Greenstone for there too.
Have a look at some Greenstones.
Have a look at some Greenstones. That's a really good explanation of the learning journey from a student's perspective.
Yeah, that's right at the end when they're kind of ready to leave Green School. So let's hear from Tiago and ask him what he's doing next.
Yeah,
but just to share with you my two graduates out of Green School. So both very different pathways. My eldest son, who took a gap year and interned and volunteered all around Indonesia and a little in Australia as well, and then launched into an economics degree.
He was in my maths classes. I can't believe he launched into an economics degree.
He did, indeed.
Great.
I know. So he followed that path, but he got to second year and then was out in the ocean one day and had a revelation and said, why am I doing this? Hang on, actually, I want to work on the reefs. I want to change. I want to do marine biology. So he switched. So he's now in that program. So he's now studying marine biology. And then my daughter, who graduated in 2020 as a pandemic graduate, who actually completed her first year of university while she was at Green School. So actually very
possible.
Yes, loved all the academic challenge, and so had done university courses while she was at school, but now actually has not gone to university and has started her own business. So there you go.
Yeah, the world's
as many stories as there are
place.
graduates of Green School. But Tiago, being as this is our last question, a great way to wrap up the conversation today, because really in a lot of ways our graduates are kind of the ultimate sort of test of the Green School experience in many senses, and all that you have built here and that the teachers continue to build at Green School. So, but Tiago, maybe share with us, not to put you on the spot too much, your thoughts on graduation. You're kind of like 10 months out or something.
I mean, damn, I'm getting close to, graduating and finally finishing my high school education, which is nerve-wracking. But through all the experiences I've had at Green School, from, going to India and doing social activism to working on the garden, I've been prepared in so many ways to actually go out there, and go to the real world, and I have so much experience and such a large skill set that I'm pretty confident that, I'll manage. And I'm considering going to university. I am preparing myself academically. I'm taking honors. I'm taking advanced classes, AP, that kind of stuff. And Green School is, actually offering those things to me. Green School is allowing me to keep my options open, and to have an open mind, to maybe take a gap year and intern around Indonesia like Patrick did, or to go straight into university. And, I feel that I'm quite prepared. Pretty nervous for the Greenstone, which is the big capstone project. But, I'm super just like ready to get into it, and I'm prepared, Nervous but prepared.
Nervous but prepared. I think that's great. So I think, friends, you should follow Green School and get ready to tune into this guy's Greenstone, because I think it's going to be amazing with the nets, the sea waste, the plastic, the nets in the ocean that you want to retrieve and repurpose for volleyball nets. And it's going to be fantastic. We're looking forward to it. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
And we've only
today.
scraped the surface.
We've scraped the surface.
Yeah.
We have scraped the surface. There's a lot to share. So anyway, I hope that was helpful to you. Please do reach out to us. I'm sure all the links and the right emails are there in the chat, or you can always find us via the website, greenschool.org. You can find your way to Bali and to us through there. So I want to take a moment, firstly, to thank all of you out there for joining us today. Friends,
Thank you.
Thanks so much. And to the children in particular who are still there, thanks so much for giving us some time. Great to see you out there wherever you are in the world. Thank you, Sal. I know you're a busy person, lots to do.
Always happy to be here and connect with people. Thanks for
Always happy to talk about the revolution.
Thanks for Tiago to spending his time. I hope you go all right with your conference, moderating your conference tomorrow. I'm sorry for taking up so much of your time. It's been a pleasure to hang out, connect on the website, go to the links, stay connected, and maybe see you soon.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much, Sal and Tiago. Yes, as Sal said, thanks so much for giving us some time. We know you've got a busy schedule. Thanks for joining us on the bamboo sofa.
Be
We'll
happy,
see you next
everyone.
time.
See you. Take care.